What's happening in terms of poverty in our community in Silicon Valley is that just looking at the recent poverty statistics, it actually showed that there are over 189,000 people that were living below the federal poverty level.
I don't have work, nothing, and how can I live? And I have kids.
Silicon Valley has just as many issues with folks down on their luck, out of work. A lot of it in the service industry that are trying to make ends meet like anybody else.
I was hospitalized almost a month, and I almost dying.
People want to provide for their families. People, human beings are goal-oriented people.
They said living in America is good. If you're not lazy, if you work so hard, it's better for you. But how can we work if we don't have work, no job, nothing?
You've got folks that were part of our working middle class that, from one day to the next found themselves unemployed.
This fall, a number of organizations encouraged religious leaders and political leaders to eat for a week at the amount of money they would have if they were getting food stamps. So that's $31.50 for a week, which is not a whole lot when you think about it. It's about $1.50 a meal.
Last night for dinner we had rice and beef stew that had tomatoes, eggplant, and cubed beef in it.
Last night I had ground sirloin cut up with carrots, onions, and mushrooms.
Last night for dinner we had meatloaf and vegetables and mashed potatoes.
Steak, salad, bottle of wine, and 2 imported beers. And the price was like $180.
No idea how much it cost. I mean, not very much. I guess the meatloaf probably costs, I don't know, $10, and the potatoes cost next to nothing.
Each week I spend about $150 for food. And that doesn't count where I go out to a restaurant.
About 200 to 250 every week.
I ate a lot of oatmeal because oatmeal is cheap and it's easy to prepare. I ate a lot of lentil soup because that was one of the things that we bought. I ate a lot of mashed potatoes because, again, that was something that was pretty cheap, and pasta. I did not eat a whole lot of fresh vegetables or fruit.
Don't forget, if you have money, don't forget your rice, your salt, and your sugar. At least you're still going to eat if you have rice. That's very, very important.
I don't think of myself as a foodie, and I don't think of myself as someone that food matters to a whole lot. I want to eat periodically, but I don't think about it a whole lot. But when the food was substandard, I was certainly thinking about it a lot more. And it also consumed more of my time and energy in terms of planning and the shopping. And I would imagine for somebody who's doing that on an ongoing basis, how that would use up valuable energy, decision-making power, and also just be wearing, kind of exhausting in a certain way.
It's really, really hard. Hard.
If I were eating the food stamp challenge for a month or a couple of months, it would have very negative effects on my health. For starters, it was very frustrating to me to be hungry all the time and still gaining weight, which was one effect of the 1 week on the food stamp challenge. But I also would not be getting a balanced diet and a healthy diet.
It is surprising that people on food stamps only receive $4 a day. I think it's actually really sad. That's not a good way to eat healthy, and it's not going to help you live a long, good life, which I think would probably put more strain on our economy in the long run.
How are they going to live on that around here?
It's pretty tough. I've seen instances where people tried to live within that kind of a budget, and while they came close, the nutritional value of the food that they were consuming was pretty poor.
Part of a healthy population is making sure that everyone has a well-balanced meal to get them through the day, especially our children, so that they they can make sure that they're focused in school, ready to learn, and at the end of 12 years, they can go to college. Most of our local service providers, I kind of look at them as safety nets for the safety net.
Sacred Heart Community Service was founded in 1964 by a woman of deep faith who was confronted for the first time by the fact that there were people that are really hungry in her neighborhood. She was a woman of modest means herself, and what she started to do, she was invited by her parish priest to actually bring a bag of food to another family that lived close to her. And what she discovered when she met that family was not just a family that needed a little bit of help or assistance, but just that they didn't have access to the things that she took for granted in life in the community. And she felt inspired to actually start, which really was a ministry for the poor, out of her home, and then eventually grew into really one of the leading grassroots organizations addressing poverty here in Santa Clara County. I've oftentimes referred to like our front doors of our building or our lobby as being the emergency room for poverty here in Silicon Valley, where we see tens of thousands of people that are coming to us in some cases really desperate need. It really is a broad representation of families that are not that different from yours and mine. It's really interesting to actually look at the dimension of poverty that we see every day. We see young families, we see single adults, we see seniors that are coming and asking for help and assistance. Nearly 2/3 of the folks that are actually coming to us are actually working full or part-time and struggling to make ends meet. What people can do is actually step forward and get involved in their community, by getting involved and learning about the issues and actually meeting people that are experiencing this. This is not some really foreign concept. These are people that are part of the fabric of our community. They're people that you work with every day.
Any budget that's passed in Washington needs to take into account that there are millions of Americans out there that rely on the safety net that SNAP provides.
So it's very important to let your congressional representatives know, even though here in California most of our representatives are pretty positive on this, it's important for them to be able to say, look, this really matters to my constituents.
And being able to share the urgency around that to our elected leaders in Congress, being able to contact our Congress people and being able to talk to our senators and say, this is not just another issue that needs to be worked out as part of a budget resolution, but this is part of the fabric of our community.
Su voto es su voz. Your vote is your voice.